Hey there, fellow entrepreneurs. I'm Sue, and you've just stepped into Entrepreneurs Gone Wild. Every week, I'll introduce you to a friend of mine, a remarkable entrepreneur who's not just changing the world, but also harnessing a secret weapon, time outdoors. Together, we'll dive into their journey, unpack invaluable business advice, and discover why embracing the wild is not just good for the soul, but also a goldmine for inspiration and innovation. Ready to uncover the secret that's boosting bottom lines and fueling joy? Hit subscribe and join us in the wild. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so excited and pleased to be introducing you to Morgan Balavage. She's a business coach for ADHD entrepreneurs. Hello, I'm talking to all of us. So, Morgan helps clients with countless ideas focused on those that will really actually make an impact for their business. Through her coaching, she provides the clarity and accountability needed to turn brilliant concepts, and we've got those, into successful realities. Get ready to meet a coach who's helping ADHD entrepreneurs live their vision board life. Morgan, welcome to Entrepreneurs Gone Wild. Really excited to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
This is going to be so cool. I just love this. I know that entrepreneurs, I shouldn't say I know, I suspect that entrepreneurs have a higher than normal rate of neurodiversity among us. We come up with these great ideas and then there's so many. Wow, what do I take action on? So would you talk a little bit more about like the people you serve and the problems that you solve for them?
Yeah. So when I first decided to start my business, I worked in the corporate world for 20 years. I worked in PR, marketing, high-level accounting, revenue management, all sorts of different industries. And I got laid off from one of those jobs and just had this like light bulb moment as I was getting laid off with a big smile on my face. Like, I never have to work for anyone else again. I never have to do this again. I can make another choice. So I took my severance package. I hired my own business coach. And originally, I just wanted to teach yoga full time. I was moonlighting as a yoga teacher. And it turns out I loved doing that. And trading my time for money was also not something I wanted to do exclusively. So I started focusing on making passive income streams. And it ended up being enough that I could afford my mortgage in Santa Barbara. Other yoga teachers noticed what I was doing and asked me, like, how are you making money as a yoga teacher to afford your life? And so they basically asked me to start business coaching them. So I took those 2 decades of corporate experience and I started coaching exclusively yoga teachers. And while that was an excellent niche, and I still work with a lot of healers and yoga teachers, there was a lot more that I could do. So every step of the way, every part of my business has been built by request of my clients, of my customers. So as you described, it's the type of person who just has a million great ideas, those ideas are going to make a huge impact on the world, but they don't have the executive function and the accountability and the deadline-driven dopamine to actually get it done. So once I realized that that's the type of person that I was attracting, because that is who I am myself, of course, we attract what we are, it made it easy to put together a coaching program that was going to serve all types of business owners, but especially I focus on those who want to make the kind of impact on the world that I want to see. So those are who I like to empower the most.
Yeah. And then I love that you've you've had your audience and your clients tell you, please make this next. And that's huge. So many people build out a whole big thing and then it's like nobody wants it, but by building like on request, that has been really, really smart. Tell me about some of the offerings that you have. I know you've got multiple things going on with this. So you've got the yoga instructors and coaching and what else?
Yeah, I'd love to tell you about one of my failures because, as you said, I did the exact same thing as so many coaches and business owners do, where I built this thing and then sold it to like 3 people. I expected to have this big launch with like 100 people. And it turns out no one wanted it because I built it for me. I didn't build it with the market research necessary. So after that kind of like wah wah, sad trombone, I decided to actually ask my clients like, hey, what do you need help with? And then it's from doing that basic market research, which I do kind of all year long. Anytime I'm talking to someone and we start talking about business, I'm asking market research questions and I'm kind of directing the conversation to better understand what do you need to actually get this done? And that's the question that I ask people. And it turns out what most people need is accountability. They need someone in their corner being like, hey, did you do it? Did you do the thing? They need some sort of deadline, even if it's somewhat arbitrary, right? Like it's not the end of the world if you don't hit a deadline. But they also need to do it, like they need to co-create, right, with their audience. So what I tell my clients is before you build something, sell it before you build it, right? You can sell it as a beta program, you can sell it as a new launch, but make sure someone actually wants to buy it before you build it, and then you can create it together, and you're going to be able to sell it to more people and make more money over time.
Mm. That's huge. That is huge. I mean, cart before the horse otherwise. And it's so crushing. You're like, three people? Like, so, goodness. All right. So now what are, like what are some of the examples? Like you've got the accountability things, like what else? Like how else do people work with you?
So right now I have two main programs where people work with me. I have the Art of Abundance, which is my group coaching program, and it's weekly hot seat coaching. So Mondays, 9 a.m. Pacific time, my clients come in, everyone gets individual coaching, they ask their question, and they get clarity on like, okay, what is it that you need to do this week to move this goal forward, whatever goal they've come to me with. And I try to work on short, medium, and long-term goals with my clients. So we'll focus on like, okay, short term, we need you to be making money. So what can you do this week? Normally it's trading time for money. That's actually going to like get money in your pocket this week. Medium and long term, we're looking into more passive income streams so that they can, just make that money over and over again without having to trade their time every single time. But I also really focus on like what's in alignment with your energy, what's going to bring you the most joy, what are you most excited to work on? Because for a lot of people, what's most exciting for them is what's going to be most exciting for their audience. That's not true for everyone, but for most of my clients, that tends to be true.
That's really cool. I love that. Now, how has your entrepreneurial journey gone? You had all this, background in corporate and now you're here. How did you get from there to here?
So I've always been the type of person who has to do like a bunch of different things during my day. And when I graduated from college, I was working 4 different jobs to put myself through school. And it was this was like 2008. So this was the beginning of that recession. And I had an English major, an English degree. So I wasn't going to do much with that. Wasn't going to get hired for much with that. So I just kept the 4 jobs that I had and eventually worked my way up the ladder of a variety of different jobs. Once I realized like I need something that's more fulfilling than just making other people money and got into yoga, I started to really notice like, okay, there's a lot of magic to yoga, not a lot of like business minds to most, like even people who own yoga studios, they tend to come at it from a community place, not from a actual like business building, like profiting place, which can be beautiful, but it's not sustainable. And so once I realized like, oh, there's a real niche here where like yoga teachers are given, minimum 200 hours of learning just how to teach yoga and barely any time at all based on how to make a living being a yoga teacher. Then I started focusing my social media on just teaching yoga teachers like, hey, this is how you make money. This is how you make passive income. This is what passive income is. There are a million ways that you can do it. So that's kind of where that entrepreneurial spirit of like always like being fed new ideas kind of spills out, is just focusing on the niche that's interesting to me and reinventing the wheel over and over again. One of my tricks as someone with ADHD is I need constant novelty. I can't just do the same launch over and over again, which is what a neurotypical business owner would do, is just like, oh, this is working, I'll just do it over and over again. My brain gets bored and I just won't do it. So the way I trick myself into doing it is I'll relaunch the same program, but I'll give it a different name, or I'll focus on a different niche, or I'll launch it on a different social media network. So it's like now I have this new novel thing that I can experiment with and test. And that's what keeps it really interesting for me. So I'm still like, I'm not just wasting all the effort that I put into the past, but I'm still able to keep my mind interested in propelling it forward.
That is mind-blowing and so smart, because it's like, the big joke in entrepreneurs is, well, that worked, so I'll never do it again. Right? So,
exactly.
But there's that, you found a hack. That's so smart. I love that. Oh my goodness. And what kinds of like can you talk about any like your best success story with a client?
Yeah, I mean, I have so many. It's everything from, I had a client who hired me because she thought that she wanted to become a health coach. And once we actually got into the work, she and her husband had a very successful business and a lot of assets. And she didn't really need to work at all. And she really didn't want to. What she wanted to do was move to Hawaii and like just enjoy this new season with her husband and their empty nest with their kids out of the house. So that's like one of my favorite success stories where it's like the business side didn't work out because she didn't really want it to, but she got to do what she actually wanted to do, which was, renew her relationship. Another example, one of my current clients tells me constantly that she wishes she'd hired me so much sooner because I make it so easy for her to make money in like so much less time than any other business coach that she's worked with. She's a positive intelligence coach. She does corporate workshops, and she was just like banging her head against the wall trying to figure out, like, I have this incredible skill, I'm certified, like, how do I get myself in front of people to really help them? And I was like, well, let me help you do that. It doesn't have to be like, constant social media. All you have to do is utilize your current network, send a few emails, and it doesn't have to take more than a couple minutes a day to really push this part of your business forward. And once she kind of like had that light bulb moment of like, oh, it can be easy. It doesn't have to be hard. I don't have to hustle all the time to make this work. In fact, it's actually to my detriment to hustle all the time because that just leads to burnout. I get more success the less work I do. And now she's, sold out, and she's now traveling the world while running her business from her phone, just like I do.
That is amazing. Wow. I mean, these are huge breakthroughs. This is life-changing,
I mean, that's what I love to offer my clients is like, if you're ready to change your life, you better really be ready for it because I'll get you there real fast.
Yeah, a lot of people like say that they're going to do that, but it sounds like you're actually doing it. So they better be ready. Like, that's wild. And so, I've been just fascinated. Like you built a business that you can run from your phone. You can do it from anywhere. So what is that like for you? What is your life like?
This all started during the pandemic. I was in a master's program studying traditional Chinese medicine, and then everything went online. And I was like, well, may as well move off the grid to Mexico. And in Mexico, I did not have steady Wi-Fi. I was quite literally off the grid. I was living on the cliffs of northern Baja. And so I just couldn't rely on my Wi-Fi to do my Zoom calls. So I realized like, oh, I need to come up with another way to make my business work, though I can still put a couple of hours of work into it each day and work with my clients. So I created programs and realized like, actually, my clients are really benefiting from not being on Zoom. My clients are benefiting from just having phone calls and doing text coaching. And so I kind of just built my business from there when I realized, like, as a matter of fact, that is my preference as well. If I don't have to be on camera, I don't want to be on camera,
For
but I can
sure.
still have the same impact by just giving my clients, again, what they need. And I ask them, everyone's a little bit different, but I'll ask them like, okay, do you need me to follow up with you via text, or does this need to be a phone call? Do we need to hop on Zoom because you need to share a screen and we're doing some behind the scenes tech stuff? Or, can I just like energetically send you like, okay, you can get this done, do it. So it's yeah, again, just by asking my clients, like, what level of support do you need here? And then working that within the confines of, my own schedule and my own Wi-Fi capabilities that I've been able to
Right.
build this business where I could go weeks without ever being on Wi-Fi or turning on my computer and still have the same impact.
That is incredible. It's like, I know when we first moved off grid, I was like, oh no. Like, I thought, oh, well, the plan was, well, I'll just tether from my hotspot on my phone. Well, no, no, no. Like, you're going to go through that data so fast. It's not even funny. And then constantly hunting for, well, does the laundromat have it? Does it gets nuts if you're, off grid, and people don't typically understand that so well. So that is so smart. You were able to figure out that workaround. That's amazing. And now you've freed yourself up so you could go anywhere, literally anywhere in the world, and be okay with that. That's amazing. Now, I know we talked a little bit too about how you spend your best time, get your best ideas outdoors. And I love that you have a very tangible example that you can point at. Talk about that.
Yeah, well, so I mean, nature is so healing, and it just like clears all of the ego out of the way so that you can actually like be receptive to the information that you need. So I had a thread go like mega viral, and I had a popular media source, Business Insider, reach out to me to interview me about it. And when I was sitting with it in my body, it just didn't feel right, the slants they wanted to give it. And I was trying to figure out why, and I was also trying to figure out like, what do I like? This is an opportunity to get a lot of publicity, but I don't want I don't just want a bunch of haters to come out of the woodwork, because that was kind of the direction it was going.
Mm.
So I emailed them and said, I'm just not comfortable with this interview, but I would love to pitch you something else if you're open to that. And they said, yes, of course, pitch us whatever you want. And then I was like, well, what do I want to pitch? I don't know yet. So I sat with it for about a week, just journaling and talking to, my mentors and my coaches about it. And then finally I went out for a bike ride, and I was halfway up this huge hill, just like my lungs dying, just killing my body as we do. And just this idea flashed into my head, and it was like, no, this is what you should talk about. And it was almost like someone just whispering in my ear, like, no, this is what it should be. And I stopped my bike. I didn't even get to the top of the hill. I ended my bike ride right there, because I was like, oh, this is what I came for. All right, I can go home now. And that article will be coming out hopefully in the next couple weeks.
That is amazing. I love that so much. And in every way, like, you knew, go outside. Then you did something, you knew, all right, if I am exerting my body, my brain is like freer to receive these ideas. And then you heard that soft little whisper that said, exactly, hey, Morgan, here's how you do it. That's so cool. And then, so because you're all over the world, like, do you have like a set practice that you do for outside time, or, how do you prioritize that? And what do you find yourself doing when you get those great ideas usually?
Yeah, I almost always watch the sunrise, no matter where I am. Getting sunlight in my eyes and just kind of like greeting the day in that way is always really grounding for me, no matter where I am, kind of orients me for the day. I practice Tai Chi, Qigong, and yoga and meditation. Depending on kind of my schedule for the day, I have like the 5-minute version, and I have the 5-hour version of my like morning self-care routine.
Yeah.
But I just need to do something to get into my body. And then of course I travel full time with my little rescue Chihuahua, so he needs to go outside. So I don't always leave my phone, although, part of me wishes I would. But then what so often happens is I leave my phone at home, I get this great flash of an idea, and then I get home and I forget it. So I'll take my phone with me, but I'll put it on airplane mode so that I can't just walk around in nature staring at my phone, as we all do, as I often do. But if I have a great idea, then I'll open up my notes app and write down like, do this. And then the only trick I have, the only thing that works for me, there are 2 things that work for me. The first thing is texting my bestie and saying, hey, tell me to do this. Like, if someone else tells me to do it, I'll do it. But my brain won't tell itself to do the thing. It won't do it. And then just doing it then. So like if I have an idea for a great email that I want to send my list, I'll write it on my notes app, like while I'm walking my dog. And then like I'll get back to my computer, or like once I'm back in Wi-Fi, then I'll actually put it into my email service provider and send it out to everyone. But there's just the do it now idea of like, once the idea comes in, if it's that good of an idea, do it right this very second. Otherwise, forget it. Just knock it off the list.
You are speaking to me. Like, that is so cool. Have you ever taken the Kolbe test?
No, what's that?
Oh, okay. So it's a KOLBE, and it's like, it's not a personality test per se, but it's more like how people take action and like what they need. So there's one in there called Quick Start, which is, it sounds like, do it now. like by the time other people are like just finally researching and thinking about it, we've got it done. So like, I would bet that you come out Quick Start then. I love that idea of airplane mode too. So a lot of people talk about, I'll put it, on my phone and, open the notes app or the voice thing, but oh, we can get so tempted. There's these dings then if you've got it on, but airplane mode would do it. That's really smart. Just a simple little tweak. So I think that will probably help somebody. That's so cool. Now, what's the growing edge of your business now? Is it as big as you want it to go, or are you still growing from here?
Yeah. So, like the universe, ever expanding, ever contracting in different areas of my life. I've actually gotten really into storytelling this year. So standing on stage and doing speaking engagements. I've been touring with a podcast called The Moth, doing more personal storytelling. So that's the part of my business that I'm leaning more into over these next couple of years, is less business coaching and more just making people laugh about the most traumatic moments of my life.
Well, I mean, it's kind of, I always kind of look at it as those pits and valleys and, the things that didn't go so well. Man, if there can at least be humor and that helps us get through, and then if we're able to tell a story about it that helps somebody else get through, that it almost like it redeems that, and we're like, okay, maybe that was worth it. It was still super painful, but worth it. Is that kind of
Absolutely.
where you find it? Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
100%. Yeah, I know I've healed from something when I can tell a funny story about it. And that's the beauty of storytelling and humor is like you can really make anything funny. That's what comedy is, right?
Yeah.
Tragedy plus time.
Yeah, that's for sure. Tragedy plus time. So are you taking, like, do you have a coach who's helping you with storytelling, or is this something that you're just, discovering on your own?
The Moth has really done it all for me. I pitched them several years ago, and they got me on stage, and now I tour around the country doing sold out shows.
That's incredible. You're living the dream. The Moth is a great show too. That's really, really cool. So are there live audiences? There are live audiences when you're doing it, right?
Yeah, so they have a bunch of different facets of their performances. So I do the story hour essentially. They take me to just all over the place. I've done Lincoln Center, I've done Seattle, Santa Barbara, Los Angeles, all over the place. And yeah, it's almost always sold out. They only tour stories that haven't been on the podcast or the radio hour. So my story hasn't yet been released, but it will be next year. It'll be on NPR and it'll be on the podcast. And then from there, I'll just pitch them another story and we'll kind of go through that process again.
That's so cool. All right, how about a TED Talk? It seems like you probably need a TED Talk.
I love that. I love it. Yes, I'll accept that. Sure.
I think you should totally do it. I have friends now who are doing it. Now it's like, oh wow, with the TEDx is like, it's not just the big one.
I've
That
actually
is
had
really
clients
cool.
do it as well. And yeah, the only disadvantage to TED Talks is they don't pay you and the Moth pays you.
Oh,
And I
right.
like to get
Oh,
paid.
yeah.
So
Well, getting paid is nice. That is really cool. Oh my gosh. All right. So, what advice could you pass along to the listeners as far as like, doing their thinking outside?
yeah, I mean, for me, I love finding places that feel familiar, even if I'm somewhere I've never been before.
Mm.
So, like, for example, I'll go out at night and look for like the constellations that I saw when I was a child. And that really helps me feel at home in this big, wide world. Or if you see like a tree or a flower that you recognize, like, let that be a source of home and grounding and really like get into it. Like the trees are the deepest meditators on earth. Like go meditate with a tree. The weather is nice and you can stand to be outside for more than a few minutes. Both you and I are in cold climates right now, so it feels a little impossible right now. But also I'm a big skier. So finding like a sport or something that you can do with friends that gets you out in nature. That's like I plan my whole winter around ski season, and it's like if I have one meeting on a ski day, that's a lot for me. So
Yeah.
finding something that you're really passionate about that really gets you into your body and out in nature, dedicate your life to it, make that your number one priority. Don't make it a reward, make it the priority.
Oh, yes. I think that could be a tattoo. That is so, so good. Oh my goodness. All right, Morgan, where can people find out more about you and working with you in particular?
Yes, you can find my website. It's splendid.yoga, not .com. The .yoga is the .com. And you can find me on Instagram, Threads, and Facebook at morgan.balavage, which you'll probably have to look up how to spell that in the show notes. Uh, those are the two ways. Yep, that's it.
That's really cool. That's awesome. Thank you so much for being here. And I'm if you ever are in Northeast Tennessee, you have a place to stay. So
Thank you so much. I hope I will be someday.
that'd be great.